Hey, hey, hey. How y'all feeling? Hold on. So, hey everyone. Oh, it's brighter. Hey everyone. It is your girl Tanisha Shanee, Miss Inspiration. And I just wanted to come on real quick and talk to you. It was placed on my heart to come and holla at everyone. So I'm hoping you are seeing this. You can tag a friend, tell a friend to tell a friend. And let's just kind of have a little quick chizat. Um, Hope everyone is doing well, is doing great. Hold on, just gonna invite a few individuals. And we can just kind of have a quick little chit chat. But I hope everyone is doing well on this it's a gloomy Friday. But we are still celebrating. We are excited and we are happy about life because I know I am. All right. Hopefully everyone can hear me. Okay. So I am Tanisha Shanee, Miss Inspiration. I am an inspirational speaker. I am a lifestyle strategist, a coach, and author. I actually wanted to come on because lately I've been having these conversations with my friends, with people about dating and single and the season of single, and just wanted to come and have a conversation real quick. So I have a book. So my book is called Dear Single in Love, 8 Principles for the Woman Waiting for Her God-Ordained Purpose Made. And I wrote this book actually in 2019. This book was written in February of 2019, but I think I released it in like the summer of 2019. But this book, I did not want to write this book. So let's just say this. I did not want to write this book. Okay. But God kept putting the book on my heart and I finally wrote it and I released the book. The reason why I did not want to write the book is because I think so many times these kinds of books get mixed up, people are expecting, so this book is going to help me to get a man. This book has nothing to do with how to get a man. It's about what we should be doing as women. So it's written from a woman's standpoint of what women should be doing while they're waiting, the season of waiting for their God-ordained purpose mate. Okay, so that does not mean that this book is going to tell you how you're going to catch that man. No. There are some tidbits as to what should be happening in that season. So this book, I actually started to reread my book myself last week. Last week I actually went away and I had my little self-love time. And I was rereading my book and I'm actually going to read a list of things that came up. It's called self-reflection. So I had to reflect on my relationships and my past relationships to really get an understanding as to why my relationships don't seem to work or why they were not working. And I think the hardest part for people is when we are in the space of healing or we're in a season of healing, we don't tend to reflect. And that's the one thing that I want to do is I want to reflect. So in this book, I actually do share some of the things that I found that was actually hurting me in my relationships. So on page 19, and I'm actually going to do a group. So if you're interested, I should actually put the email, right? If you're interested in being a part of this group, one, you would need to get the book, right? So the book, I have put the link, and you can email me if you're interested in joining me for this group, right? And because I think it's really good for as women, as we're looking at these 8 principles, that we're really understanding, what are some of the things that we're not doing? What are we skipping? Like we're just bypassing important things that we need to do. So the self-reflection part is going to be the first thing that anyone that joins this group is going to have to do. right? So I'm gonna share my self-reflection. So I was in the wrong relationships, and here are some of the reasons why I was in the wrong relationships. The first one is I was always trying to save a man. A person that I actually just stopped being friends with, he used to say to me that I was always trying to rescue a dude like they were a puppy. Okay. And I'm not gonna lie, that was my reality for quite some time. I always fell in love with their potential. We know how wrong that can go, right? So you see the potential in them, but there's no action. So it's all talk. They look great, but you're like, nothing's happening, right? The third thing is I will fall in love with someone else's boyfriend. Now you got to be honest with yourself, right? We're talking about all you got to look at all your relationships. So I had to be honest. I'm gonna tell my truth because that's the only way I'm gonna heal. So I will fall in love with someone else's boyfriend and have the best relationship with someone that was not my man. Okay? This is me being raw and honest. So if you're going to work with me, if you're going to be a part of this group, we got to get honest. We got to get honest. I would enter relationships with men that I did not love or even like. But they liked and loved me. So I'm really being honest here. I didn't like some of my ex-boyfriends. I didn't love them. But they liked me. They loved me. And yes, I was the side chick. Yes, I was. In some of my best relationships, unfortunately, I was a side chick. So, I mean, look, if we're going to talk about it, we got to talk about it. If you can't sit and be like, call yourself out, I had to sit and call myself out. Okay? So you can read it. I'm not telling any secrets here. And then I used to have low self-esteem, right? So my self-esteem was really bad, which allowed me to be used, abused, and manipulated by dudes for what I had in my life. So the biggest thing, and I do talk about this later on in the book, but the one thing that I started to pay attention to was that dudes would get very excited. You got your own place? You got a car? Like, they would get excited, and they would get too excited. And it didn't make sense to me at the time. I wasn't taking heed to that they were looking for the help, right? They was trying to look like that little lost puppy, and I was actually now putting myself in a situation where they are going to use me because now they need my car. Now they need someplace to stay, but I'm looking at the potential, but they don't have the money to help pay this mortgage. Like, sis pays a mortgage here. Sis needs some money to pay this mortgage, so you're going to be up in here. You can't just be running up my Connet and eating up on my food. I go to Trader Joe's. My food is not cheap. Okay? Then I allowed myself, because I grew up fatherless. My father was not in my life. I allowed growing up fatherless to play on my self-esteem, and I would end up with men that did not value me, or they would sell me short of a good relationship. And then I have only been in love one time. Right? I've only been in love with one boyfriend. Now, the other ones I liked, some of them I did like more than others, but I never saw relationships as long term. So actually this last weekend I reconnected with someone that I knew from years ago, and I admitted, I was like, yo, I admitted to them, like, when I was younger, I didn't think about marriage. I did not believe in the marriage. I used to actually stay to my boyfriend. So when we break up, and I remember one boyfriend, he said to me, he was like, so you already know in your mind that we're going to break up. And I was like, yeah. Like, to me, it was so nonchalant. It was natural. It was like, yeah, I know we're going to break up. And he's looking at me like, do you know how crazy that sounds? Like, so why are we even together? And that's when I realized, years later, like, that was a bad habit, right? I was entering these relationships not with the intent of this is going to be long term, right? So Aisha, that's why it was easy for me to be a side chick, because I know a side chick is not going to last forever, right? I always knew. I knew there was no forever for me. Back then, I didn't think of forever. I never thought about, hey, Roxy, I never thought about, oh, I'm going to be with this guy forever. Like, he's going to be my husband. I never thought that way. I didn't start thinking about becoming a wife until God told me that in 2015, 2016. No, God told me 2015. I didn't believe it until like 2016. And that's only a couple of years ago. I'm 36. So I went all of my 20s, my teens. I was never that girl that was like, oh, when I get married, I want this kind of ring. I want this kind of mat. I want this kind of dress. And I want the big wedding. I didn't want any of that. And I still don't. When I get married, I hope my husband does not want a huge wedding because I don't want all of that hoopla. Like, I want it to be about the marriage, about the relationship, not about the ceremony. Okay? So, the one thing that did you find out what the trauma was that made me feel like I didn't want to get married, or that it was never going to be long term? So we can actually save that for the group. But honestly, it's a few factors. My mother and father were married. It didn't work. So I actually always felt if it didn't work for them, they had 2 kids. Like, so my mindset growing up was marriage was not going to, marriage didn't work. I didn't have any role models that were married. I didn't really start seeing a successful marriage, like a married couple that were married, that you can see the love pouring out of one another. Because until my mid-20s, like I never saw a married couple that was like truly in love with each other. And I heard people into relationships. See, I never entered relationships like this, but I understood, I saw, and I heard other people talk about it. And I do touch on it in the book because that's something that God told me. People enter relationships and marriages as a business deal, right? You make XYZ amount, I make XYZ amount, so together we're going to have a good life. There's no love, right? So if that person makes a good amount of money, then we can come together and we can just have a good life. So to me, I didn't want that either. Like, I actually wanted to love the person. Like, I want to be excited. I want to be in that kind of relationship when that person is like walking down the street, I'm like super excited, but I also want them to be excited. So I've always had one or the other. Either I was truly into the person and they were not into me, or vice versa. And I've never met anyone that it was an equal match, right? They're definitely a marriage of convenience. I want someone that is a genuine match where, and I know that's not going to be all the time. I know that you're not going to feel that way every single day, but I can honestly say that I haven't had that. I haven't had someone I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't wait. Like, even in the beginning, like, I am so, like, when I reflect back on my dating life, I'm like, I wouldn't date me. If I was dudes back then, I definitely wouldn't have dated me. Because when you're with someone who has that mindset of, I don't want to get married, like, I don't love you, like, you're cool. Like, I kept them as a, you good, you cool, like, I like you, you chill. That's kind of how I felt. And that's where I'm like, no, I can't do that. That pattern has to break. It has to die. I can't continue that way. The other, I stop laughing at me. I'm honest. Y'all know me. If y'all ever watch my lives, I'm super honest. I'm so transparent. I don't hold anything back. I'm very truthful. And then the other thing that really hit, and I wrote it on my Facebook status over the weekend. The other problem, and I don't think I wrote it in the book, the other problem that I had was I was constantly going backwards, right? I gotta cut that out, right? Going backwards, going to the same, like, unless I'm 36. Now, if I would have dated somebody when I was 14, 15, and we broke up 14, 15, I would probably entertain that relationship because we should not, hopefully, we're not the same person or the same people. But I used to have this habit of somebody would still like me. Tanisha, I miss you. I mean, it's convenient because you're familiar with me. I'm familiar with you. Fine. Why not? Like, I used to literally, that's how the conversation would happen. Why not? And I would go back. I would go back knowing that I don't like you. I would go back knowing God told me you're not my husband. Like, I would go back because it was like, so I could say I have a man. I had to cut that out. So I remember I have a ex slash friend, well, ex friend now, because we're no longer speaking. And I remember him saying to me, like, why don't, like you keep dating these other dudes and I'm a good dude. I said, you are a good dude. I said, but I actually spoke to God about you and you're just not my husband. I said, so at this point, if God already told me, I understand you don't get it. And that's why I told him, that's right there another problem. Because you're not talking to God. I'm talking to God. God is telling me, no, he's not your husband. Stop entertaining this. Move forward. But he's not getting that because he doesn't have a relationship with God. So there right there was already a disconnect. But I had to like let him know. And it's one thing I talk about in the book is we have to get to a point where if you do like someone, before you just go and be like, that's my man, talk to God about it. Pray, listen. God is going to tell you. I've met pastors that were nice men, men of God, but guess what? They were not my husband. And God told me. And I even had one person that we both prayed and fast together because he was like, I want to make sure that God is telling me and he's telling you. And we both heard no. And we was able to part ways. No animosity, no hate. It was just like, let's cut our losses now because he wants to find his wife and I wanted to find my husband. And to me, I think that was the best. But he's like the only person that I've ever met that was like willing to do that. That was willing to say, let's fast, let's pray, let's talk to God together. And we did. And we got our answer. And we was able to part ways with no feelings, no hard feelings. I can't be upset because God gave us the instructions. That's why the series is called Pray, Listen, Obey. Right? This is all teaching. So I really do want to do this group. But that's a great thing. It kills. It does. It killed so much time. Like, I think we were in each other's life. And it was a lesson. Right? We had a lesson. I had to teach him something. And he had to teach me something. I think it lasted like 2.5 months. Right? 2.5 months. It did not go on forever. 2.5 months. That was it. And like I said. But that's why I have to, like, I keep reminding myself. Like, it's not like you can't, I can't go back to those same habits of, being a rescue, being used, and being with people that I don't genuinely love. Like, I want to feel that feeling, and I want that person to feel the same way. So it's really one of those challenges, and I think so many times that we see everyone else, right? Social media is really hurting people's feelings because everyone else is still getting married during COVID. Everyone's still getting engaged. They're having children. And some of us are probably sitting here like, but why not me? But it's okay. This is just a season of single. Now, that season does not operate how the world season operates. The world season operates on 4 seasons. We can't compare that. I know there are some women that have been single for 10 years. Right? So when I started writing this book, I started to reach out and I was joining different groups and I'm just listening and I'm talking. And with this one woman, she finally found her husband after being single for I think 12 years after after she got divorced. But that was her season of single. And then when I was like, what was you doing during this time? She was healing. She was working on herself. She was working on her business. She was working on her purpose. She was doing things, not sitting around on social media like, oh my gosh, so-and-so got married. Oh, I'm depressed. Oh my gosh, so-and-so is getting got engaged. She wasn't worrying about what everybody else was doing. She was worrying about what God was telling her to do. And that's what makes us different from everyone else. Because the world will make you go out there thinking it's like speed dating. That's not how God operates. God is not going to operate like speed dating. He's going to operate the way that he wants. But, right? Exactly, right? So we're sitting around. I can't sit around idle. Like, that's too much. That's too much. It drains you. And then you start entertaining the wrong ones. You start entertaining the people that you shouldn't be entertaining. I know me recently, I was on a dating app and I met someone and they're not a bad person, but when I realized I was going back into one of my old traits and I was just like, okay, we got to get out of this. We got to get out of this, right? When you start seeing manipulation and gaslighting and someone who's just, There's no love there. There's no growth there. There's no, let's pray together. There's none of that. I had to stop and now assess. Tanisha, I can't just assess the relationship. I gotta assess what am I allowing? What parts of me do I need to focus on that is allowing this to happen? And then go back to the conversations with God. God, this is, you said that my husband is gonna be. You said my husband's gonna be. You said my husband's gonna be. Is this person him? And I remember that was clear as day back in 2013. Yeah, 2013, 2012. One of them, back in the days. October. I was sitting on my couch. And God was telling me, write down all the things that you need. Need, right? The word is need. What do you need in a partner? It had nothing to do with looks. It had everything to do with the character of the person. And the person that I was with at that time, God said, is everything that you say that you need, is that in the person that you're with? And it was like, no. That was the easiest. Well, I mean, it wasn't easy to break up with him because he took it extra personal. But I was able to walk away from that relationship. I mean, he did reach out to me over during COVID. I rebuked that quick. No. Block. But it was just like a reminder. Like, if I know this is what I need and this person does not meet that, what are you going to do? Like, they can't overnight. They're not going to change. Some people can change if they want to. And one thing I've learned, a man is not going to change unless he wants to change. We can't change them for anything. We can't change anyone. So if he's not getting it, right, there's nothing I can do. Like, I'm not going to sit here and be miserable just so I can say I have a man, right? That's too much work. So, like I said before, if you know someone who is interested in, reading this book with me and we can have these more candid conversations, I did add the link to the book. It is available as an ebook, and it's also available as a physical book. It looks thick, but it's not that thick. And I would like to just have, like, there's 8 principles, so there's really 9 chapters in the book. But to really just dive into it and, talk about it and pray about it and just do some of the activities and the reflections that, God had me put into this book and do it together as we're ending out this year. I do believe, and I've been hearing it, and God has been speaking to me, and I don't know, it might not be for me, but I still want to help someone. I want to help other women out there who are supposed to be meeting their husbands this year. Like, 2020 doesn't mean that just because COVID happened and the world is in quarantine and parts of the world is still in quarantine doesn't mean that God is not doing things. Some of us are still going to meet our husbands. Some of us can still get married this year. God can do. As long as we're following what God is telling us to do, we're gonna always be successful. When we follow what the world is telling us to do, that's when we fall short. So if you're still supposed to meet your husband this year, then we got some work to do, and I want to do it with you. And even if you are the testimony at the end, I'm happy for you. I want to praise dance for you. That's what I'm looking for. This is not really about me. I think this all reflection is for other people, and I'm just supposed to help to navigate it. And then whatever else happens for me, if y'all want to pray for me that I meet my purpose mate and he's out there and he's ready to deal with this crazy woman over here, please keep him in prayer because he might need it, but, I'm just thankful. So I love you. I love you. I love you. Share this video. Let's try to get as many. I'm hoping to start November, to give about 2 weeks. I know Amazon is doing well with shipping. So hopefully we can start like that first week of November and really start diving into this book together as a group. So tell a friend and tell a friend. And as always, I am Tanisha Shanee, Miss Inspiration. And thank you for spending some time with me today.